Welcome in to another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, I'm looking at some Dynasty rookie risers. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't. Let's go. So our first riser, Braelon Allen. So as we know, Allen went to the Jets in the 4th round, 134th overall pick. And he was a pretty good prospect coming into the NFL who fell in the draft for some reasons. So in his first year at Wisconsin, he had 186 carries, 1,260 yards, 12 touchdowns, 6.8 yards a carry, 8 catches for 39 yards. And then over the next 2 years, he was very consistent. He had workhorse ability, but he went down to just 5.4 yards a carry. The efficiency went down. And then in 2023, the same efficiency, but he added 28 catches, which was at least nice to see. Now, why is Braelon Allen rising? It's a good question. There are two main reasons. One, he's showing pass catching ability at camp. And two, he's cleared up the crowded depth chart. There is no question from what's going on at Jets, OTAs, minicamp, all that Braelon Allen is way ahead of Israel Abanikanda and fellow rookie Isaiah Davis. In fact, those two are fighting for RB3, and Allen is very clearly the Jets' RB2. So what does that mean for Allen? It's funny because I still only have him. I've moved him up a few spots. I still only have him at 308, 32nd overall. I really wish he was not behind Breece Hall. Like, if this rise were happening on a different depth chart, he could go up even higher because there would be potential for him to pass the starter. Like, let's say you switched him with Ray Davis in Buffalo. Like, yes, James Cook is a good player, but could Braelon Allen legitimately compete with James Cook and take work from James Cook? Yes. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen on the Jets with Breece Hall. So I still have him a little bit lower, but if he keeps this drumbeat, he's going to continue to rise in my rankings because we know that he's talented. And if Breece Hall ever went down, Allen would get a good shot. And in my overall rankings, I have him RB 47. Again, kind of still pretty low, but, I do like him as a late round flyer. Next up, Blake Corum. So Blake Corum went to the Rams in the 3rd round, 83rd overall pick. And he had an interesting college career at Michigan, which set him up for his time in the NFL. So in 2021, he had 144 carries, 952 yards, 11 touchdowns, 6.6 yards a carry, 24 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown. So he was efficient. He was in the passing game. This was probably his most efficient season. Then in 2022, the efficiency went down, but he went up to 247 carries, still 5.9 yards a carry, which is good. 1,463 yards and 18 touchdowns, plus 11 catches, 80 yards and a touchdown. And then in 2023, remained a workhorse, 258 carries, 1,245 yards, 27 touchdowns, which is insane. Just 4.8 yards a carry and 16 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. Why is Blake Corum rising? Two reasons. One, Kyren Williams is already dealing with injuries. He's a foot issue. Now, Kyren Williams is going to be ready for training camp, but we know Kyren Williams missed his whole rookie year due to injuries. Then last year, there were more issues. He missed some time. So Kyren Williams is not someone we can count on to be a workhorse back for 17 straight games. He's not going to do that. So Blake Corum has the ability to be a solid handcuff in this offense. And if Williams is not available, we saw at Michigan that Corum can be a workhorse back. So for those reasons, I have Corum at the 207 in my Superflex rookie rankings, 19th overall. He really hasn't risen among rookies. He's still in the same exact spot, but in overall rankings, he's actually risen a decent amount as he's passed some veterans in his value range. And in Dynasty overall, I have him running back 21. Now, if you want to see all of these rankings, rookies, Dynasty, everything, the best place to find them is on the Patreon. On the Patreon, on the YouTube, you're just going to hear me, whatever I want to say, right? I mean, it's going to be the little bit that I can cover in a 15-minute video. You're not going to hear any details. You're not going to get to ask any questions. On the Patreon, You can do all of that. You get rankings, access to the Discord, and the ability to ask advanced questions for the YouTube videos and for the Patreon only shows. Tiers begin at just $6 a month. And, you know, every bit of support goes to support the independent content that I'm doing here. Now, I promise it's fun, and I promise I'll help you win some fantasy leagues. And just because, you know, I haven't found a good way to encourage people to sign up for the Patreon. I've tried asking nicely. I've tried giving away things for free. Those don't work. Those don't work. Those have not worked. So really, if you're asking questions about your team, whether it's on Twitter or in the YouTube comments, we will direct you, we being me, will direct you to the Patreon. Because at the end of the day, if people don't sign up for the Patreon, I'm probably going to have to go and do something else with my life. And I don't want to do that. But realistically, I just don't see how I'm going to keep creating this YouTube channel without more patrons. Maybe I could go do YouTube for someone else, but then it's going to look sanitized and, you know, politically correct. And I'm not going to be able to say fuck or whatever I want to say on the YouTube. So I do appreciate everyone signing up. And yeah, you're probably noticing that this promo is taking up more and more time on the video. It means that it's not working. It's not working. If it were working, it would be shorter. So I'm begging you, please sign up for the Patreon if you really enjoy this YouTube channel, because it won't be here if you don't. Now, the next rookie riser, Rasheen Ali. So Ali went to the Ravens 5th round, 165th overall. And in college, he played at Marshall. Didn't do anything in 2020 because the season was shortened due to COVID. 2021, 250 carries, 1,401 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5.6 yards a carry, 45 catches for 334 yards and a touchdown. So he was a workhorse. He was great. 23 touchdowns is great. 45 catches is honestly really amazing. Then, unfortunately, his 2022 season was cut short due to having a medical red shirt. And then 2023 came right back. 212 carries, 1,135 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5.4 yards a carry, and 28 catches for 213 yards and touchdowns. So not quite as great as 2021, but still a solid performance. Why is he rising? Well, a couple of reasons. One, Keaton Mitchell won't be ready for week 1. So Derrick Henry's intended backup, Keaton Mitchell, who flashed last year, he's nowhere near being ready. His ACL tear was a multi-ligament injury, so I don't know if Keaton Mitchell is going to be ready anytime soon. And then Justice Hill is Derrick Henry's only other backup. And we know Justice Hill is not it. So the Ravens are a run-heavy offense. They're going to get multiple backs involved, 2 or 3 backs. So Ali, we're going to see what he has from the start. And if he shows and he's good, and every running back who plays for the Ravens is pretty much always good, then he's going to gain dynasty value. I have him 404, 40th overall. It's ahead of some players that, you know, a lot of people are touting. So I think it's a good value. And again, if you want to see where that puts him among rookies, sign up for the Patreon. And then among running backs, I have him running back 62. Next up, Theo Johnson. So Theo Johnson went to the Giants in the 4th round. Oh, wow. See how out of it I am. Didn't even have that pulled up. 4th round, 107th overall. And, you know, I didn't really love him when I heard about that. But there's been some news. But let's get into his college profile first. 19 catches, 213 yards and touchdown after barely playing in 2020. Then in 2022, 20 catches, 328 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then last year, 34 catches, 341 yards, 7 touchdowns. So nothing really impressive, but sometimes college tight ends don't really produce. Why is Theo Johnson rising? Well, Darren Waller is retiring. I feel like I've been hearing about this for months. I talked about it on a recent show. And Johnson has looked great at OTAs. He has elite athleticism. Oh, elite athleticism. Hard to pronounce that. And, you know, there's just been a lot of positive reports about him. Daniel Bellinger, the other tight end on the Giants, is fine, but he doesn't have the special abilities that Johnson has. So I still have him pretty low, 410, 46th overall, but he's at least draftable. And in overall dynasty ranks, I've moved Johnson up to tight end 32. Now, I have a couple of questions from patrons, and we'll just jump into those and end the video after that. So, which wide receivers that underperformed last year are most likely to break out this year? Good question. I like this one. There's some obvious answers. Garrett Wilson, Drake London, of course. They struggled with abysmal quarterback play last year. I think they're going to break out this year. I expect Chris Olave to do better in the Saints' new offense under Clint Kubiak, the new offensive coordinator there, replacing, what was his name, Pete Carmichael. This is a disaster. Jalen Waddle and T. Higgins struggled with bizarre injury luck. T. Higgins has been years of this. I know you're going to say, oh, T. Higgins, you can't trust him. We know that this thing about wide receivers who leave games early is not consistent from year to year. We know that. You can think it is because it costs you for fantasy, but that's a bias. We know that's not consistent. Now, if someone's injured right now, okay, I'll take that into consideration. Like Christian Watson is someone that I have concerns about because his hamstring is never healthy. It's not right now. It's better, but that's a concern that I have. So that's not a player I'm looking at. But there's nothing wrong with Jalen Waddle or T. Higgins in terms of injury today. They are healthy. So I don't have any more concerns about them, but people fade them because they frustrated you. And then JSN. I expect Jackson Smith and Jigba to be better because it's hard to imagine that he's worse. I don't think that someone who outproduced Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave at Ohio State is suddenly now bad at 22 years old. I find that very hard to believe. Now, is he going to be them? Maybe not. Is he going to be a superstar? Maybe not. But is he going to be as bad and misused as he was last year? I doubt it. So it's just a question of what you're getting. Are you getting a star? Are you getting a really good player or just a good NFL player who's nothing special for fantasy? But all of those are better than what he showed last year. Any players you're okay to buy high on? So buy high means they're highly priced and I'm okay to spend the iron price to get them. So first, the obvious stud quarterbacks and wide receivers. Yes, I'm fine paying up for Patrick Mahomes, CJ Stroud, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams, those kind of players. I'm willing to pay the price for Garrett Wilson, even though he hasn't technically done it yet, as a very, very valuable asset. And the price for Puka Nacua, as if he's a stud, even though he only has 5th round draft capital. I'm willing to pay those higher prices to get those two players. Jaden Daniels is too low on KTC. I think he's a future QB1 asset, but his KTC price says that there's doubt. And then lastly, I would love to buy Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa, even if it costs a good amount, before they get the inevitable contract extensions that they're going to get. And then people realize that these are franchise quarterbacks, not maybe quarterbacks. These are quarterbacks who are going to be quarterbacks for 3 or 4 more years, a minimum. So Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa would also be on my list. Now, if you like the video, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. As always, the best way to support the YouTube channel directly is to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all my exciting content as it drops. Of course, if you want my best fantasy football advice, it's always going to be on the Patreon. Always on the Patreon where you can get my best advice. I'll have Dynasty advice on there. We're starting to cover redraft more and more as we get closer to season. Of course, still covering rookies. And throughout the season, what I'm most known for, apparently, start, sit every week will only be covered in the Patreon. I'm not doing it on Twitter. I'm not doing it. I say this every year, but this year I'm really not doing it. So if you want my start, sit advice, that will be for paying customers only, because there's just no other way for me to get people to sign up other than doing it that way. And everyone who signs up, it supports the independent content that I do here. Being an independent content creator is very, very difficult. And this offseason has been really, really challenging. So those who sign up for Patreon, I really, really appreciate you. And otherwise, I want to thank you for watching this video. And I'll see you all later. Peace out.